Welcome to Soulful Conversations with Nadjejda. I'm Nadjejda Chapoteau. I am passionate about social justice, dance, nature, love, spirituality, and making a difference. Specifically, making a difference in empowering women and really embracing their authentic self and sharing their message boldly with the world. I'm an empowerment coach and I help purpose driven women coaches and other online entrepreneurs and reconnect with themselves and find their voice and their message and their niche in order to make an impact and experience ease, confidence, clarity, and fun in their businesses. I am so excited about my guest today. She is so, we really connect. I love her energy. Imani Aieshah. She is a straight shooter, plant-based eating, living to laugh out loud. Wife and mompreneur. I love that. She's a marriage coach for couples who know they want more connection but feel stuck in the routine they've built in their relationship. She helps them get unstuck and start being together in a way that works for them and brings them that daily joy. I love that. Thank you for joining me today, Imani.
Thank you for having me, Nadjejda.
Yeah. So tell me, I know you work with busy couples, and as you know, for the most part, my audience are women entrepreneurs, and you
Right.
are a mompreneur. You're a women entrepreneur as well,
Yes.
who's married. And how do you balance that business, lifestyle, like running your business, and also making sure you have time for your relationship, for your
Yeah.
marriage?
Yeah. How do you, right? I think it's first just saying to yourself, you know what, this is not always going to go the best laid plans, right? It's not always going to go the way that I wanted to or I expected to. So having some flexibility and having some grace if things are with myself, if things are not going as smoothly as I would like them to go, right? And so, but I do know the things that are important to me. And those are always things that I say, I make a conscious and aware effort to make sure that those are incorporated daily. Spending time with my husband, spending time with my daughter. These are things that are going to happen regardless. Now, I have a to-do list of things that I need to do for the house and things I'm doing for work and for clients. Sure. Sometimes, life gets a little crazy. My daughter gets a little crazy. And so it doesn't always happen that well. But I try to compartmentalize. For me, to be honest, I don't know how many mom entrepreneurs out there feel this. But for me, my daughter is 22 months. And so the best time for me to really get stuff done is when she is sleeping for work, right? And so compartmentalizing that, like before she wakes up, getting out there, getting some work done, being productive. And then when she wakes up, it's about her, breakfast, we're playing, we're, doing her numbers and her colors and all of that. And just, enjoying each other's company and being present with her then. And then when she goes down from her nap, then I can, work again. And then in the evening, I can do some things, but nothing that takes too much brain power in the evening. Like when I was young, I could do it. But now it's like, I'm not ready to do too much there. But and my husband, he comes home from work for lunch every day. So we have lunch.
Oh, cool. That's nice.
Yeah, exactly. I think so. We have lunch every day at home. So he gets to see me, he gets to see our daughter. And then at night after she goes to bed, we have our time as well. And so ultimately that's kind of how the day is structured, but there has to be grace. There has to be flexibility. There isn't this expectation that there's going to be, the scales are going to look like this, just, you kind of go with the flow and go with the tide and the ebb and flow within the structure that you've built so you don't lose your mind. That's really how I do it.
Yeah. One of the things that I kind of got, I caught while you were talking, and you tell me if I'm correct, is that it seems to me that you make it a priority.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I'm hearing. Like, your time with your husband, your time with your daughter is a priority for you.
Oh
So
yeah.
you just, it's like you said, it's gonna happen. But like you said, it may not look the same all the time, but you make it happen. Now, let me ask you, was it something, because it seems like in some way, like you said, obviously it's not perfect because there's
Mhm.
that ebb and flow of life, but did you always have it sort of like this, or did you, how did you get to this point, you
No.
know?
Yeah, I can this compartmentalization, you know, I've always tried to do that, like capitalize on my daughter's sleep. But have I done that well? If I stay up too late, I'm not getting up early, and then I kind of lose productivity for work during the day, and then I'm having to do more at night. And so I've had times where I've fallen off the wagon, but knowing that the wagon didn't blow up, it's not, it didn't go anywhere. I can get back on it,
Yeah.
get back into the routine, and the routine changes. It shifts as my daughter gets older, because she used to take 2 naps a day. She only takes 1 nap a day now that she's older. It shifts based upon what's going on with my husband and his business. It shifts, if something, God forbid, happens in the house that I have to take care of, or there's calls that I have to make, or there's errands that I have to run, right? And so, no, it is not this like wonderful entity, but for
Uh-huh.
me, like you said, it's about priorities. They're a priority. My business is a priority too. I mean, as entrepreneurs,
Of course. Yes.
and so that's a priority too. So there's always something that gets done for the business, each day, but it's not the mentality of like 8 hours and blocks. That doesn't even work for me as a mom, and I think as entrepreneurs, especially female entrepreneurs that juggle 8 million and one balls in the air, we've gotta figure out what works for us, and how my business looks and how I structure it's not going to look the same as is yours or the next woman's, right?
Totally.
So right now, this is what's working for me, to kind of get up early before my daughter wakes up, and have my time with her when she wakes up, then have my husband lunch, and then her nap time I'm working. And then in the evening, it's like dinner, it's house stuff. And then I start to get a little bit of work done in the evening, not as much as during the day. And so that's what's working now. But you ask me 3 months from now, I might be doing something different.
Totally get that.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's the thing, is, you know what it is? It's kind of like what we were talking about. I mentioned about the priority, and you mentioned too, is that it's like your business is a priority as well. When you said that, I was thinking about how they say that. You know how sometimes people say, "Oh, I don't have time for that." It's
Yeah,
become a priority for us because
exactly.
for you, your relationship, your marriage, spending time with your partner is a priority for you. So you make the time for it. You
Yeah,
arrange your schedule so it happens. Same thing with your daughter, and same thing with your business.
right.
Now, obviously, everything may not be able to be a priority because you're only one person and you have time a day, especially with a young baby,
Right.
because I think, how old is she?
22 months.
2 months? Oh my
Yeah.
God. Wow. 32 months, you said, right?
No, 22.
22. Oh my God. So you see, so she's still very young. So like you said, I mean, again, who knows? I mean, I don't know what your plans are, but I'm saying probably as she gets older, it's definitely gonna change for you.
Yes. Like, I'll be able to negotiate with her, right? Now there's no negotiation. She's like, I don't care what you're doing. But when she gets older, I'll be able to say, look, mommy's working. This is your quiet, you color, little independent time. And I can kind of negotiate with her, but now there's no negotiation. So as she gets older, hopefully we can have those discussions.
Yes, totally.
Absolutely. There has to be, like you said, that you're not making the time. But that's our relationship with time. Oh, I think I have to spend like 3 hours for it to be quality time with my spouse, or like, oh, that's I don't have 3 hours in the day, and I'm like, it could be 5 minutes, it can be 15 minutes, it can be 10. You can have coffee in the morning together, get up 20 minutes earlier. Like the concept of the time and how much it has to be and what makes it quality is coming from all these outside sources. People are not really thinking about, well, what's quality time to you, and how can you implement that in your relationship,
Totally. So tell me, for you, like, was there like a moment where things were not the way you wanted them to be, and you were like, okay, it has to change?
In terms of what?
In terms of with, with your relationship where maybe you guys were not spending as much time, you did not have that daily joy that you help people with now.
Yes, there was. There was before we moved here and we were in Atlanta, my husband was working further out, and there was a time where I had 3 jobs. This is before I was before I really launched my business. I had 3 jobs, and 2 of them were in academia. So, but one was a weekend kind of evening job. And my husband worked a lot farther from home, so he wasn't coming home for lunch. And I remember I sat down and I said, well, I just want to see how much time we're actually spending together. Like, how much time do we have? And it was like within 1 month, Nadjejda, we were spending the hour equivalent of maybe like a week together, waking hours. And he was like, what? Like, what is happening? And so we had to work within that. But it was frustrating because I was like, I want to talk to you about stuff, and you're tired and you're about to go to bed and you're sleepy. You're not really listening to me. My husband's the type where he can't function if he's tired. Like, if he's exhausted, it's like, but he can't, he's not with me.
Yeah, I'm just cranky.
Exactly. Well, you're just cranky. See, he's just,
I won't fall asleep, but I'll be cranky. I won't be great, so.
And you're not listening, and I get it.
And I'm not really present.
Exactly. And so that's not good for the marriage, right? You're not being present. But I was like so ready holding stuff in because I would get home earlier than him because he worked so far away. And he'd be like, rapid fire, all the things we were talking about, all the things I want to tell you. And he's like, like, it's just, and there wasn't, that connection, and there wasn't that we're feeling close. It's just like you getting up, we're going to work, we're kind of crossing paths, and this is not going to work. You know what I mean? You live with me and I miss you, you know what I mean? So that's when we make changes, and I was like, look, if at dinner time you're so tired that you eat, we can't talk, and you're going to bed. My husband works better in the morning. I'm not a morning person, but I said, you know what, if I want to spend time with him, I'm going to get up earlier and we're going to have a simple breakfast together in the morning, whether it's smoothie or just, toast and almond butter, whatever it is. And we're going to enjoy each other's company for that, 30 minutes before we both have to go to work. And so this is pre-baby, but that's what we had to do. I mean, that we had to have a come together moment because that ships that cross in the night thing wasn't working,
Totally get that. Yes. So let me ask you now, what would you say to some of our, my audience, some of the people listening to us right now who are struggling with having that time with their partner? Who are struggling with that experience of daily joy. I know you talked about quality time. I know what does that look like for you? So I'm just curious, what would you tell them?
I mean, definitely answer that for yourself, and and then kind of look at how much time do you think you really need to have that quality, to have those moments where you feel connected with your partner. And, sometimes it takes a little bit of rethinking, right? Rethinking how because if what you're doing isn't working, then you've got to rethink how you're doing it, and believe in the autonomy of your own relationship, which means, yes, you get opinions from people who love you, tell you stuff, but here's the real, right? People who tell you stuff, they're telling you stuff based upon their experiences, right? In any situation, they're telling you stuff based upon their own stuff. Yeah. So you almost really have to take that with a grain of salt and say, okay, that's great. That's working for Bobby and Sue. That's working for Michael and Jane. But what's going to work for us, we might not be able to do it like that. That may not work. You know what I mean? So people are talking about date nights all the time. I don't use the term date night because it's limiting. It's like, oh, we have to get a babysitter if you have kids, or we have to plan, and I have to get all dolled up, and I don't feel like that, and I'm tired, and all of these excuses and reasons why you wouldn't do it because you're like, date night, right? But it could just be a date at any time. Like it could be a lunch date. It could be we're just going to take 15 minutes to go for a walk date or breakfast or whatever. You know, we're both need to take a shower. We're going to do it together. We're going to take a bath together, whatever it is. But rethink how you think about what's quality and what's time, and allow there to be a certain level of autonomy and trust in your own relationship to say, how are we going to do this for us? Even if it doesn't look like all those other couples that look like they have it together to you. You know what I mean?
Totally get that. Yeah, so totally get it, totally. So yeah, I love how you talk about what works for somebody else doesn't work for you. And that's with everything. And I think sometimes people tend to, oh, you know, this works for Imani, let me go ahead and do it. Right. Oh, Nadjejda, this is working for them, or this worked for my parents or something. Mm-hmm. So yeah. So tell me, for you, how did you choose to become a marriage coach? Like, because it seems like, I mean, I have to say to those of you watching us and listening to us on iTunes, Imani is like really passionate about this. I see it whenever I see her post, when I see her lives on Facebook, I can tell that it's something that she's very, very passionate about. So tell me, how did this start for you?
You know what? You know, I actually dug into that earlier this year, you know, because before I dug into it deeper, you know, I was saying, and this is still true, that I almost wanted to kind of save marriages. I felt like there were so many things when it came to being in a relationship and being married that could be turned around, that people could get through if they were both just willing to do it. And sometimes you need a little guidance to do it, you know, and not feeling shame around needing the guidance. You know what I mean? If you needed help crossing the street, it would be fine. But if you need help with the ebb and flow of going through a life journey with another person who's going through their own life journey, which is a whole lot of stuff, then there's like this stigma around getting guidance about, oh, your relationship must be going through some things. Yeah, you know what, yours is too, because everybody's relationship goes through something. And that still rings true for me. But one of the things that I was like, well, why do I feel like, oh, I just want them to know, you know, where's that coming from for me? And to be honest, I think it's the little girl in me. I know that sounds so cliche, but for real, the little girl in me who watched her parents just not be connected at all in their marriage, and being that child who still grew up longing for connection with somebody, and to be married and to be in a relationship, and had no fairy tale ideas of what that looked like, because my parents were not a fairy tale. It was very clear to me, but feeling like, what if they had gotten guidance? What if they had certain tools? Because you know what? My mom didn't learn how to be in relationship from her parents and her mother, and neither did my dad. And so these two people who never really learned to be in a relationship and be married and how to really respect and meet each other's needs were together, not knowing. And they didn't learn it together. They didn't grow in that together. And I watched this and I'm like, is this, you know, could this have been different for them? Could it have changed things for them? And I know that's not what I want for myself. And so what am I going to do differently? And I think, and I say this, I think I feel I'm a natural communicator. I think women in general, I think my dad always said that women teach the world kind of to communicate and to feel and to you know, my husband says they are the creators and the mothers of nations, you know, and so there's such power and femininity in us, right, as women. And so despite the fact that I didn't have an example of, you know, what it was to communicate in a relationship, I could see things even as a young child. And my mom kind of jokes, like, you used to say, well, dad feels this way, and, you know, almost trying to mediate, but I couldn't mediate them. And I was a mediator in my school. I was a conflict mediator in like elementary and middle school. And so it was just something in me that wanted people to be able to see clearly, because we can't when we're emotional. I'm a highly emotional person, so I know that that's the case. And so as I dug deeper, it's really coming from that space for me of, it can be different in a household, you know what I mean? And you're setting the foundation for your family, for your children who see you. It can be different for them too. And so there's this kind of ripple effect of creating and strengthening the marriage so that it strengthens other marriages, because it's an example, and not of perfection, not of something on a pedestal, right? But of something real, but loving. You know what I'm saying? Something where it's like, yeah, mommy and daddy, we had a disagreement, and this is how we worked it out. Because you don't see that part, right, Nadjejda? You see your parents maybe argue, if you did see that, and then you see that they're cool. But what's in between that? We're not taught that. Nobody shows us that. And so it can be different, you know what I mean? And so that's really what moves me. And so many people don't really see what's possible in their marriage. And I want to reveal that.
Totally. No, thanks for sharing that, because and you know what it is, when you said how even as a child you saw that there was no connection, and that's the thing. Yeah. I think that, I'm sure you've heard that. Like, I know for me, I've heard parents, say, oh, they're not gonna divorce because they want to stay together for the children.
Kids, yeah.
Getting is that, and there's no connection between them.
Yeah.
They don't communicate to each other, and then what they're not getting is that the kids are picking that up.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And if anything, what they're teaching their children is that this is what a relationship looks like.
Exactly.
So these kids go and recreate, because I often say that we either recreate what we saw, or we awaken from it and we create something different.
Absolutely.
In your case, that's what you wanted to create something different.
Right. So absolutely. And I'm so glad you said that, because that's just absolutely true. And young kids, grown kids, all of that, like you see it, that something is off. You feel the energy. And so if you want to stay together, for the kids, and it's you're not working on the marriage and the connection, then there is going to be a consequence with the kids for that. Just like there is if you separate and you divorce because that's better for you, then there's still conversation to be had with the children, right? There's still a transitional period that you go through. But, that's what you kind of weigh. Are you both willing to say, oh, is this something we can do about this? Is all really lost? And if we are going to stick it out, if you say to yourself, for the kids, is there a way that we can do this and still reconnect? And people don't always think about that. They're just kind of like, oh, I guess we're done. Again, not what's possible in their relationship and their marriage, barring, of course, and just a disclaimer, things like abuse and all of that. That's different. You know what I mean? That's a different territory, but just dealing with communication and the spark not going out and not feeling intimate, or, issues with respect and these hard-hitting things, they can be worked through if both parties are willing.
Mm-hmm. No, I love that. No, that is so important, because it's like, people don't see that, they don't, because it's like they say children, I know we're talking about relationships, but still, like when you have kids, like they say, kids don't do what you say, they do what they see you do.
Yeah.
That's why they say lead by example, because they're like, okay, why is she or he telling me this when I see them doing totally the opposite?
Exactly. Don't underestimate the kiddies,
Totally, yeah. So tell me, what do you stand for in life?
What do you stand? Did you guys hear that? What do you stand for in life, Nadjejda? You're going there. Oh man, the end of the day can probably come down to connection, and that's kind of my word. And because it spans so many things, it touches on my connection with self. And right now I'm working on, spiritual connection for myself. I'm tapping back into some things intuitively and just working on some things for myself to feel more grounded, right? Because that feeling grounded makes me feel connected. Being connected to people is really important to me. People who I'm able to touch, through what it is that I do, the people in the family in my life that that I'm close to, my husband, my child. And so, you know, that all, I think that's the word that kind of brings it all together for me in terms of what it is that I stand for. Because I truly believe that people are meant to be connected to, in some way, right, to self and to other people in this world. That's just, that, you know, unless you're going to be a hermit by yourself and you've made kind of this choice, then part of the way that we thrive is to be around other people. And I say this, and I say this, and I've said this before, because it was a revelatory statement for me to say and to kind of speak out loud, is that there's a reason that solitary confinement is a punishment, right? That they put people by themselves,
It's true,
them, and they like lose, they lose they lose that groundedness, they lose that connection. So that's really what I'm trying to create in the world, more genuine connection, you know, and I think you are too. I mean, you know.
Yeah, totally. So what are your thoughts on women empowerment?
Well, I said, you know, how we build nations, right? I just think we're amazing. I mean, women, when you deal with a group of people who've been marginalized, historically marginalized, which we have been, right? Women have been, you know, suppressed. They have been silenced. They have been disrespected and dismissed and belittled. You know, they are a marginalized group, that there's kind of that stain that kind of follows us sometimes. And you don't always tap into that kind of feminine power that we have as women to just to go, to uplift, to bring other people to the place they need to be, and to do it for ourselves. You know, those women who, we all know them, who like do anything for anyone else, and then when it comes to them, they don't take care of themselves. And so that's still part of that stain of, you know, I'm not enough, or I'm not worthy. And it's always something that I feel has to shift for a woman, and it happens in different times in their lives. And that's why what you do is so important, right? Because sometimes you need someone to guide you through that journey, to guide you through that hurt, guide you to being the elevated version of yourself that you are meant to be, that you are dimming your light, you know what I mean? And so my dad used to say that. He's like, you have a light. He told my husband, when my husband was trying to marry me, he was like, she has a light, and you better not dim it. You know?
I love that.
Yeah, he did. And it wasn't until I got older that I really connected to that, because I feel like I do. And
wow, that's powerful.
It is, right? And it's beautiful to tell you.
The thing is that I'm a firm believer. You know that song by India Aieshah, I Am Light? Which, by the way, these things.
You know,
by the way, you still owe me.
I do. I knew you were going there. I owe you a song.
I know. But no, you know that song by India Aieshah that goes, I Am Light?
I feel like I probably do, because I know her songs, but it's not coming to me yet.
Yeah, well, I'm going to send it to you. But basically, she says, I am light. And I am a firm believer that we are light. I believe we're all light. But when you said that your dad said that to your husband, I was like, wow, I love that. I love it.
Did. So I think it's so important to feel empowered in yourself, whatever that means for you, so that you can show up as you with confidence. And there's so, you know, and I went to an all-girls college, and I think when you're surrounded by so many women, you really start to see some of the ways that they've chipped away at themselves. And I remember I used to ask myself, I wonder at what point this happened. And I don't, was it gradual? Was it a specific moment? Did somebody say something that kind of did that? And we all deal with the insecurities and the doubt and all of that. And I see it in some more than others, you know, we all do. And so you are light, you know, and to let that shine is bringing so much power into the world. You know what I mean? So I agree.
Because I think women, I do think that most of us women, we don't do, you know, men don't do it as much. We tend to dim our light.
Yeah.
We dim our light for other people.
Yeah.
You know, we dim our, even some women do it in relationships.
Oh,
You know,
yeah. All the time.
they dim
Yes.
their light so that they don't like outshine their husband or
Yeah.
something.
Yes.
So yes,
Absolutely.
totally,
Yes.
totally. Yes,
And-
yes.
yeah.
So I was gonna ask you, but I feel like maybe you probably answered that question already. I was gonna say, what do you believe the world needs more of?
Connection. Yeah, I think genuine connection, with
Yes.
people. And so absolutely, that's, a lot of people say, there's a song that says love, right? What they need is, you need is more love. And I think the connection, breeds that. I mean, think about it. If you think about it from the dating perspective, right? This is a stranger. You meet this stranger and you have a connection. There's a spark there, something about them, right? And it grows and it goes through stages and it comes into as love.
Mm-hmm.
In different ways, in different stages. Same thing with your child. The child comes out, there's a connection, and then their love changes and morphs as they need you for more things here and not so many things there. And so I think the connection is that foundation, that underlying, underneath, element.
Totally, totally, yes. Okay, so I'm gonna ask you one more question before I
Sure.
let you say one more, more about you and your work. I don't know. I think we may have fallen on that because I think sometimes, when I interview people and they're like, I think we already said that, but maybe they can expand on it more. What do you believe? What do you believe in a life purpose? And if you do believe in life purpose, do you have one? If you do, what is it?
Okay, that's threefold, ABC.
I know. Well, do you believe in life purpose? And then
Right,
do you have one? What is it?
right. Yes.
It is threefold, I guess.
Um, I do believe that your life's purpose is what you feel pulled to do. It's that thing that says, if the world was gone tomorrow and I haven't made the intention, or I feel like I've done this, that there's gonna be a part of me that feels a little incomplete, a little unfulfilled, a little unfinished, right? And
Yes.
so, and yet, and still being very comfortable with the journey that takes you on, that it might not be finished, but did you make the intention that you were going to do it? Did you take a step and an action towards it? And so what do you feel moved to do? Like, people had other ideas for me. I was in academia, I was teaching college. I was like, oh, you're going to get your PhD and and they had ideas for me and what my life was going to look like.
Yeah.
And I was young and I didn't,
I said, I know that feeling. Yeah.
Exactly, right? Like, this seems like it's good for you.
Yeah.
And I just felt like, and I didn't know what it was. I just felt like, nah, that's not for me. There's something else for me. And whatever that is, I'm going to find it. I'm going to work toward it. I really am a professional communicator, like, just throughout my life. Like, if that was a thing, that would be my like big umbrella. And so my purpose in the broad sense is to communicate and through expression of who I am, through creative expression, because I still write. I'm a writer. I love to sing. I love the visual arts, even though I'm not an artist. But I do love visual art, and performing arts is dance, theater. And so these are all forms of expression, and these are all things that light me up. And so my purpose, I think, is to be able to use my creativity to express the importance of connection in various ways that are going to reach people who are lacking that connection that they want in their lives.
Yeah.
So I think that's what I see. That's how I can answer.
Yes, totally. I love that. Really, really love it. So we're done with the interview part. I want I want you to tell my audience a little bit more about you and your work, where they can connect with you. I know you have a free offer, and also just so you know, you don't have to spell things out because all your info will be on my website below the video. So people don't have to remember. You don't need to jot this down, or also you don't have to feel like you need to like spell everything out to them.
Oh yeah, no, it's cool. I mean, I feel like I really honestly, Jada, I feel like through this conversation, what I do and what I'm about has really come across, more than any elevator pitch or spiel or anything like that.
Right?
This is what I do, right? And so I thank you for that as the interviewer, us having a conversation that I feel really revealed that. But in terms of where to find me, I'm really, I'm into connection. And when you're an online entrepreneur in a digital space, it's just super saturated and there's a whole bunch of people and you're trying to connect with people. And so getting, having people in an intimate space has always been one that I gravitate towards. So I enjoy spending time in my Facebook group, and that's where I would invite you to find me in Married and More Than Okay, because you want to be more than okay and more than fine, right?
I love that.
Fine, right?
I love that name.
Thank you. I recently went through a shift and changed it because I wanted to kind of just back it up and make it plain and be like, look, this is what you really want, right? You don't want, well, how are you and John? Oh, we're fine, we're good, You want to feel like there's more behind that. So that's really where I'd love for people to find me. But you can also find me on my Facebook page, Imani Aieshah, and on Instagram, Imani Aieshah. I'm Imani Aieshah across the social media board. But I would love to have those of you who really feel that are resonating with me and my spirit to come and check out my Facebook group.
Yes, thank you for sharing that. I love that. So I'm gonna. Somebody's like, I wasn't ready for this one.
Uh-oh.
I feel like I haven't done it in a while, but no, I'm not gonna ask you. Actually, you know what? Well, I mean, some of you, I haven't danced on my podcast yet, but I, when I was interviewing somebody a few weeks ago, she said to me, because I had a little music, and she said to me, are you going to ask me to dance? And I'm like, no.
I would dance with you, Nadjejda. We can totally dance party this out. I will music and we will do it.
I know. So yeah, what I was going to ask you is, what would be your final word to the women entrepreneurs on here who are married and who are struggling with having that quality time? Do you have a final word for them? Maybe in some way they feel like this can be done. What's your word for them? Because I think sometimes, I don't know if it's been my experience that I'm seeing. I mean, I'm not married, but I've seen that with other people that I know, where in some way people just think that this is how marriage is.
Yeah.
And they design themselves. Because you do have the people who get divorced, but you also have a lot of people who are not happily married, who stay married, but they're very much just resigned of like, okay, this is how it's supposed to be,
Right.
And sometimes with us women, then they just take care of the kids and they just kind of give up on the marriage, but not having the courage to even leave or do something about it. So.
Right. And it can be difficult when you're not on the same page and there seems to be unwillingness or resistance. How many times are you going to, before you kind of throw your hands in the air and either you find yourself across from each other signing papers that maybe one of you or both of you don't even want to sign, but you're just in that space? Have you really tried everything that you can try, and are you willing to do it? Are you willing to say there's something else to try? And it's funny because people will get like premarital counseling or something. They're like, oh, it makes sense to, build a good foundation. But think of your marriage as a house, for those of you who have homes or, if you watch HGTV like me, but it has a foundation. And you know what happens to that foundation? Even if it's solid for years and years and years, there are cracks in that foundation. There's unleveling in the foundation where, half of it starts to sink. And so the house can't stand on a crappy foundation, right? And so there's the expectation then you had premarital to get the foundation solid, but somewhere along the journey of forever, there are going to be cracks. There's going to be sinking. There's going to be these issues. And so have you really done everything that you can do? And are you willing, you know what I mean? Are you willing to do this? Because if not, you're resigning yourself to saying, I'm just going to be unfulfilled in this relationship. And you deserve, I don't know you, okay, personally, but you deserve more than that. You know, if I knew where to look, I'd be looking straight at you and laying, you deserve more than feeling feeling unfulfilled and disconnected to someone that you have vowed to spend your life with. So that's, you know.
Thank you for sharing that. I love the willingness.
Yeah.
You know, because it's true. I think everything in life, are you willing?
Right.
But I think sometimes, and I think, and I don't know, I think I've heard some people say if they go to therapy or some marriage counseling, one of the first things they say is that, are you guys willing to work this out?
Oh, yeah.
Because
you have to.
Willing, it's like don't waste, you're going to be wasting money and each other's time and the therapist or counselor's time. So totally get, I love what you're saying is that, and often we need to ask ourselves, am I willing to work this out, whatever it is, or, you know, am I willing, just like with our business, and am I willing to do what it takes so it can work out, you know?
Oh yeah, that's his own monster, right? And you know, and if you're both entrepreneurs, then you feel like you're not getting the support that you need, and that needs to be a conversation. That's a whole other podcast, but it definitely the willingness. I can't do anything if the person's nobody can do anything if you're not. And I would say, are you willing to try, or even better to strive? My husband says, don't use try, use strive, because there's a sense of forward motion with striving for something. Whereas try sounds like, try, you know.
Yeah, I've heard some people say, some people don't like the word try because they're like, try. Like it's
try, exactly, right? But are you willing to strive for better in your marriage? And if you can just get that piece, then okay, we can work with that.
Totally. Thank you for sharing that. So thank you so much for joining me again today. It's awesome to have you here, Imani. Maybe another time you'll come and sing.
Yeah, you know what? I will. I'll just drink a little bit of water.
I know, right?
Pipes ready. And you have been asking me to sing. Like, I feel like I'm like, oh.
Actually, it's when you said the thing about light, and I remembered the song by India. I'm like, that's true. But anyway, definitely. So thanks again, and thank you all for joining us. I hope you all enjoyed this, and all her information is going to be below this video. If you're listening to us through iTunes, you'll see some of the information there. Visit my website, lovelightcoaching.com. Go to the tab Soulful Conversations with Nadjejda. Again, it's www.lovelightcoaching.com. Click on Soulful Conversations with Nadjejda, and you'll be able to see, you'll be able to click and watch us if you want to watch us again, or just get her info. And if you enjoy this, certainly we want to hear from you. I will let her know of any comments. You know, she can go ahead and reply to them. If you don't want to miss any other episodes, please subscribe to my email list, subscribe to us on iTunes as well, which is now Apple Podcasts. Yeah, I know, they changed it. I know, so it's like, they're calling it Apple Podcasts now.
Oh.
People are still using the name iTunes. So you can sign up for my email list, which if you go to my website under the video or in many different places on my website, you'll see the box, put in your name, your email address. You will get every Thursday morning, you get an episode in your inbox. And then you will also get every Tuesday, you get an email from me and most times I share something that I don't share in other places. And you'll also get my free gift, which is my 7 questions to help you reconnect with yourself and have an aligned message in your business. So thanks again, Imani. Thank you all. Looking forward to hearing from you. Thanks. Want to see you back again singing.
Yes. I'm game for it, and you're gonna dance.
Good. Great. Okay. And and I'll dance. Great. Okay. Love and light. Bye.
Bye.